Holy smokes, we are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends. If you want to support this Rebel Outpost, the home for college football sickos, with a donation, help us keep the lights on. Hit that $sign where you make your comments, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Number one, I see the comments already flowing through. Very creative comments. We're going to be talking about Joe Klatt's, I think, a very impressive pitch for his version of the college football playoffs, the way he thinks it should be. Now, I read some of your comments, and some of the comments are, Greg, you're doing all you can not to eat that cheeseburger. Because if the Big Ten doesn't have 4 AQs, the SEC don't have 4 AQs, I'm going to be eating the cheeseburger. Some of you have already heard Joe Klatt and his impressive pitch, and you're not buying it. You're not buying it for a second. He's been called a possible Big Ten operative. Bimba7579 says Joe Klatt and Josh Pate is right on. I gotta tell you, I'm still able to live in a 5+11 world, but I'm not blind to it's 5+11 with the SEC remaining at eight conference games. No, and I've talked about that the last live too. That is going to be horrific. Even if Brett Yormark can't say it out loud because he doesn't want the Big 12 to be looked at a second-class citizen, or the ACC can't say it out loud, they've got to be saying it in private. They've got to be telling Greg Sankey 5+11 with 8 conference games. We know what's going to happen. We have the same data you have. I gotta say, so again, I would acquiesce to 5+11 because the 4-4-2-2 people, that faction, it doesn't sound like they're willing to acquiesce to me on making sure if there is multiple auto bids per conference. In my belief, we got to have a look in every 3 years to possibly change those numbers. And it doesn't sound like anyone wants to acquiesce to me. So I'm willing to acquiesce to the 5+11 people, but the SEC can't have 8 conference games. They got to go to 9. But then the SEC people yell at me and say, Greg, you can't force us to go to... So I'm the only one that's willing to compromise. I'm the only one that's willing to compromise. I am the only Henry Clay in the room. Having said that, Joe Klatt's, and we're going to go through it here. Regardless of where you stand, even if you stand hard on the 5+11, Joe Klatt really makes really good arguments, in my opinion. Ones that I can't put a hole through at all. Josh Pate has been making some pretty impressive... There's some really good arguments built in to why the 5+11 is a disaster, even if the SEC goes in 9 conference games. So we're going to go through it, and probably a lot of you will not agree with it. Some of you will, but I think at the very least, it's an impressive effort, a really impressive effort behind the argument. That's number one. Number two, the phones should work today. They should work. Now, if they don't, that means I've got a problem that is intermittent. Something is going in and out. It's working. I've tested it. I just tested it again. It's working. And if it doesn't work, then it's not a settings. There's something larger going on. So the phones should work. Number 3, we've got this community leaderboard. If you see the crowns in front of people's names, right now Stormy Cyclone's in first. Tom DeBay is in second. MBM is in third. Now there's different ways. I read about this finally. I should have looked at it earlier. but it is, the community leaderboard is based upon a few different things. How much reaction you're getting with your comments, how much you're interacting in the comments section. Super chats are all a part of that. And this is what YouTube is doing. It's an experiment, and they've given it out to not all. If you watch other live programs, other live streaming, most people don't have this. For whatever reason, they decided to let us have it here at Peek Around the Corner. I did not ask for it. It's just happened one day. And because I don't read all my emails coming from Google, YouTube, I don't read any of them. I didn't know what was going on. So what we're going to do here at Peek Around the Corner, what we're going to do is we are going to keep track of the top 3 places every single day. And then when I come on live the next day, I'm going to have your handle on, your name is going to be on the chalkboard behind me. And if you come in first, you get 3 points. If you come in second, you get 2 points. If you come in third, you get 1 point. The most points at the end of the month, I'm going to get your information and we are going to send you a gift. The gift is probably not going to be all that valuable, but it's going to be connected to somehow with Peek Around the Corner. I haven't quite decided yet on what that gift is going to be. But anyway, that is what we're doing our own experiment. We're putting your name on our famous Peek Around the Corner chalkboard, and the winner at the end of the month is going to win something. Now, again, I think a lot of it has to do with how long you're on watching, and or you know, they don't tell you the formula of how to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tomas is in 5th. Doc Boots is in 6th. AMAC is in 7th. It has to do with when did you get on? Did you get on early? You're going to go late? Whatever. So they're doing their own experiment. I'm trying to figure out how to say thank you to those who are really involved in the chat room. Everyone has 75 points. Yes, they do. It's a massive tie. That's actually what it is right now. It only updates once in a while as we're doing the live show. Okay. And again, I think maybe we were selected as one of those that are able to do this because we do live shows almost every day. And because of all of you guys' commitment to being a college football sicko, we get a lot of action in the chat room. A lot of action in the chat room. So I think maybe that is, hopefully it's a good reason. A good reason they selected us. Shakedown 1971. 1971. Shakedown. Welcome to Early Peek Cloak and Dagger. We've got a new member to the show. Shakedown 1971. Thank you so very much for becoming part of the PATC family, a member of our show. You are officially knighted. Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger. Okay, let's get to the show here. Expedition Greg. Always good to see my good friend Greg. Go Buckeye. Thank you for the super chat. Expedition Greg, thank you so much for the super chat. All your help, all your generosity. I will say, it might be nice to see me today, but on October 5th, 2025, the day after the Golden Gophers leave the shoe, it might not be so nice to see my ugly face in front of this camera. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Golden Gopher propaganda, it is percolating. It is absolutely percolating. We PATC chat cultists ain't motivated by positive reinforcement. Buckeye, keep hope alive, Greg. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. That's right. That's okay. So let's do a roll call here. We got a simple show today. We're gonna quickly go into the phone calls because none of you had the opportunity to say how wrong I am once again. Unfortunately, Rick was going to have a great phone call. Everybody was going to have a great phone call. But nobody could hear the people talking. I believe the phones are going to work. I'm praying the phones are going to work. So we're going to keep it simple today. We're going to do the all Big 12 defensive team according to per Athlon Sports. We've done the first team all ACC offense, all ACC defense, all Big 12 offense. Today we're going to do the all Big 12 defense and special teams, the Big 12 conference. So let me know in the chat room or with your phone calls, with your super chats. Athlon Sports also got it wrong because they left out your best player. Let me know. Let everybody know. Let's do the roll call right here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us live June 5th. I'm very humbled that we've got almost 100 people joining us on a lazy Thursday afternoon. Charlie Atwood. Notre Dame needs to win a play-in game to make the playoff because they don't have to play a conference title game. Charlie Atwood. You know, that is a very good argument against playing games. If we do have these auto bids, and you're the second place team in the ACC, for example, and the ACC has 2 auto bids, and they're going to do the 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. Well, what if that number 2 team loses? It pushes them barely out of the playoffs, and you got Notre Dame sitting over there, 9-3 record, barely in the top 16. Let's say they listed at number 5, and they barely squeezed in. They didn't have to play a plan. It's a great, again, good arguments on both sides of all of these issues, in my opinion. Charlie Atwood makes a good comment. Tumasta is in the house. JC is in the house. Again, the Big Ten, the Big Ten's relationship with their media partners is horrible because of these horrible TV ratings. The Big Ten TV ratings are just fine. The media partners are making bucks. They're making bank. Whatever, this is circulating out here now. The Big Ten's in trouble. The Big Ten, NBC is going to get helped. They're going to have better games. They're going to adjust. The Big Ten's going to adjust. And again, the Big Ten, okay, I'm going to be blunt here. SEC, fans of SEC, I'm going to be blunt. The Big Ten TV viewership numbers don't have to match the SEC's viewership numbers. They don't. They don't. They don't. They don't. Viewership numbers, there's a lot that goes on. Again, everything being even, the higher viewership number, that content is more valuable for your advertisers. But not everything is even. That's the problem. The Big Ten numbers in those markets that they are in, where the national advertisers like to go to, the Big Ten is not in any trouble at all. I don't know where this has started, but they're not. CFP is in the house. Grateful Trojan is here. Tumasta, CFB Plus. Stephen Vitt is in the house. Christopher Mercado is here. Mr. Monkey says, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. We've got a defensive lineman from Rock Chalk Jayhawk that's in the all Big 12 defensive team. We got a defensive lineman who wears the Kansas jersey and has said, look, if this was easy, everybody would be doing it, but not everybody can do what Mr. Miller can do. We're going to talk about that player in a moment. I'm in the pocket of the big community leaderboard. No question about it. Big Tony, Tough Tony is in the house. Spam that chat. Chad Bracey is here. Greg, do you sell those PATC coffee mugs? Not anymore. Not anymore. We've shut down our website. We're not selling any merchandise right now. I thought we would start doing it again in early spring, but there are reasons why we haven't done it. We're looking for a different partner than the partner that we had. The merchandise was pretty good. It was good. We didn't have too many shipping problems. I'm going to tell you what one big problem was. It was the accounting of this place that we had our t-shirts, our sweater, our everything, our hats, our mugs, and to unravel everything, all that we had a lot of, thanks to you all, we made money here at Peek Around the Corner on the merchandise. So it was pretty popular. And again, if it was just for money, I'd be grifting this thing every day, but I'm not a grifter. But the time that it took to unravel and figure out how to report the revenue to the IRS, the way that this company did it was just so cumbersome that I finally said, I'm spending way too much on the back end of all this. I'm spending way too much time. This is an operation of one person. And that person is me, and you all know I'm not the brightest bulb in the refrigerator. So I got to figure out something. We're looking at things. Hopefully we got something up and running, and then we can sell the coffee mugs once again. Here is the coffee mugs that we did sell. Again, the product was good. We had a lot of people interested. We had a lot of sales. But I did not feel good about the relationship that I had because, geez, they made it so difficult on me. So relationships. We'll figure it out. EMA, every man a Wildcat. We do have a Kansas State player remain as an all Big 12 defensive first team Athlon Sports. Okay, we'll get into that in a moment. Jose is in the house. Joshino is here. Don Scruggs, Georgia Bulldogs. Sean says the Big Ten and SEC should play each other. Karan Shakar is in the mix today. PATC is just a money laundering operation. Boy, it sure felt like that. Sometimes, no comment. Okay, let's get into it. I want to have a lot of time for you all to call me, to tell me how off the beaten path I truly am. Expedition Greg, today the 2025-26 bowl schedule comes out. Now, this is interesting. If you look at my screen here, it shows the crown here on a super chat, but it doesn't show the crown up on our screen here. So I'm not capturing the crown, but the crown is there. Expedition is in second place. Today, the 2025-26 bowl schedule comes out. I did see it. What I'm looking at is we don't know what the 2026 bowl schedule is going to look like. The 25-26, yeah, you know, it's we sort of we were able to predict it, right? This year the Big Ten's going to be playing in the Vegas Bowl. I mean, we got the dates and everything. All that's good, but we kind of knew what was going on. For 2026, we don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. Maybe you guys have heard some things. These bowl arrangements, these bowl tie-ins per conference could flip dramatically, or maybe just a little bit. There's going to be some changes. In fact, one of the changes, this Athlon Sports magazine that we're going to be doing the Big 12 first team all defense, in their prediction, they've got the Baylor Bears playing the Minnesota Golden Gophers in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. First of all, the Baylor Bears are not going to be playing in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. The Baylor Bears are going to be playing in a much better bowl than the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. So many of you in Athlon Sports, so many of you are sleeping on the Baylor Bears. They were very good last year, especially at the end of the year, and they've retained all their dudes. The Baylor Bears are not going to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Now, they do have the Baylors rated 5th. I don't know why, coming in 5th place. I don't know why you put the 5th place. The Guaranteed, and another thing is, the Gophers are not going to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. The Gophers are going to be finishing a lot high. And number 3, if the Gophers do only have a 6-6 season and go to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, PJ Fleck has to deny it. Say no, thank you. We're not playing in that dump again. We played West Virginia, Minnesota, I don't know, was it 3 years ago? It was horrific. Minnesota could not stand up. West Virginia could not stand up. It was like an 18-6 game. It was the worst bowl game. It rained on that baseball field before they started playing, but it's bad every single year. This should be the last year the Big Ten has the Guaranteed Rate Bowl game. They should kick that one out. And I know the coaches always complain after they play there in Arizona, that baseball field. For football, it's an absolute dump. So anyways, I got off the beaten path. Stormy cyclone. Any more news around Smash Capital meeting? I will say this. Um, no, I don't have any news. All I have is a little bit of a speculation, which doesn't mean much. In fact, it doesn't mean anything. No. Mr. Monkey says, no. Baylor fans, I'm sorry, Greg has doomed your season. I believe in you. I got the Baylor Bears knocking on the door to the Big 12 championship game. I've got Arizona State in there. And I've got a plethora. I got like 4 or 5 Big 12 teams, all potentially challengers in that Big 12 championship game. Iowa State could get back in there. BYU could get in there. But Baylor Bears, Kansas State definitely could get in there. Baylor Bears can get in there. I mean, come on. Bryson Washington, Robertson. They've got dudes. They've got defense. They've got a great punter. Baylor Bears are set to roll. And by the way, Mr. Monkey says, this is 2025 season. Greg the Gold is here. Greg the Gold is here. Baylor is not going to take a couple steps back. Baylor is not going to take a couple steps back. They're going forward. They're knocking on the door. And just because you guys are giving me a hard time, I might just take Baylor to the Big 12 championship game. Let's go. Dogs and Doves, why don't you start wearing those gold polos? I am gonna have something special to wear when we're doing the picks this season. It's gonna be gold. It's gonna be gold. I'm gonna be looking good. I am gonna be looking good. Let's go. All right, we got a show to get to. We can't just screw around all day. We can't screw around all day. Godfather, you're going to have to take the L on the brightest bulb in the refrigerator because every refrigerator I own has only one bulb. So therefore, you would be the brightest and dimmest bulb there. That can't be right. I should not have even read that. That can't be right. There's got to be 2 bulbs in there. One on the right, one on the left. You know what, though? You might be right. But I'm going to pretend I did not see that. I'm going to pretend I did not get educated on that. Whew. I should. Okay, let's get to it. Stormy Cyclone. Any more news around the Smash Capitol meeting? Thank you, Stormy Cyclone, for your super chat, for your generosity. Thank you so very much. I just got one little speculation. Just speculation. I put out there yesterday in a live show that we had heard that there was a particular ACC school geez, I hope my camera is working. Do I look okay? Can you guys see me? I just saw my camera flash. And yes? Okay. I don't know what's going on here. You look fantastic. Well, thank you, AMAC. That is the correct answer. Back to Stormy Cyclone here. I keep skipping over Stormy Cyclone. Yesterday, I talked about how there was an ACC school that we know of that had multiple meetings in multiple locations with multiple private equity firms. Now, and we believe it's part of a larger picture. So we don't think, like, there might have been other representatives from other ACC schools there at these meetings. And it probably was, okay? But we just have information on one particular school. Something was leaked to us. I can't name the school. Somebody had a meeting, multiple meetings, in the month of April, somewhere in the middle. 2 places in New York. One place, I'm just going to say, someplace in the state of New York, like I said yesterday. The other place was in Brooklyn, New York. That's not a whole lot of information, but we know it to be true. We don't know who they met with, so we don't have a whole lot. We know something happened. So the reason why I say this, the reason why I keep poking and prodding, the reason why I've got these notes is, for example, if you hear anybody say, geez, I know somebody was out in New York on the middle of April, blah, 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 blah. That, like, if I get information that is tied to an event in April in New York, I'm going to really poke at it because I've got this other information, that's this general information that something happened. That is why it's important to, this is a process, right? It's a process. Now, my speculation, Stormy Cyclone, and it's only speculation because I do not know. I have no idea who they met with. Was not told. But Smash Capital does have an office in Brooklyn, New York. I was told that yesterday evening by somebody. And I looked it up, and like Smash Capital only has 2 locations. One place somewhere out west, far, far away, and the other one is in Brooklyn, New York. So again, did they meet with Smash Capital, this particular university or universities in Brooklyn in the middle of April? I don't know. My question would be, why would they have to go to this location? I don't know. But I'm just throwing that out there. Only speculation. Okay. Let's get to it. Thank you, Stormy Cyclone. Appreciate it so very much. Let's go talk some football, and then we're going to be talking Joe Klatt. Joe Klatt, I believe, in my opinion, made an impressive pitch for the 4-4, 2-2, 1-1, a 14-team playoffs with auto bids. We're going to get to that in the back end of the monologue. But first, we're going to talk some football, Athlon Sports, all Big 12, defensive team. And of course, it starts with the Godfather, Dante Corleone, the Cincinnati Bearcats. Yes, he is coming back. Yes, the leader of the Bearcats defense, he is coming back. Cincinnati. Now, again, Athlon Sports has Cincinnati finishing 12th. Okay. Athlon Sports doesn't have Cincinnati qualifying for a bowl game. Cincinnati, not a whole lot of people do have them qualifying for a bowl game this year, but they've got some dudes on that team. Sorsby, the quarterback, is coming back. We talked about the great tight end, Joe Royer, coming back this year. The problem, I think, when people are looking at Cincinnati is they lost their top 3 wide receivers. They lost their star running back. But they do got some players. And, of course, this is their leader, Dante Corleone, Cincinnati Bearcats, all Big 12. Dominique Orange. Now, look, Iowa State Cyclones, they've also got dudes. They've always got dudes on defense. Always. And they've got multiple all Big 12 defensive players. The Big Citrus. Yes, the Big Citrus. That's what they call Dominique Orange. Stormy Cyclone, the Big Citrus. And again, as much as we all kind of, college football is going downhill and everybody's looking out for themselves and nothing is going right and the courts are going to chew up the NCAA versus House settlement, which they're going to. One of the positive things is, if you've noticed, these schools, the schools that are not the 8, 9, 10 blue bloods of college football, they are now able to keep their top dudes. They're more likely to be able to keep their top dudes because they can pay the players directly, rev share. Dominique Orange has got a big old deal for Iowa State. So why would he go anywhere? He's got his spot. He's got his school. He's got his fans. He's making bank. And he's setting himself up to play on Sundays the following year. This is another great example. So so that part is good. That part is good. The Big Citrus defensive linemen, all Big 12. And this is what Vox Quindaro, I was talking to him earlier in the chat room. Dean Miller. I keep calling him Sean. Dean Miller, Kansas Jayhawk, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, defensive lineman. If this was easy, everybody could do it. It's not easy. It's not easy to play at the level of Dean Miller, Kansas, all Big 12 defense. Lee Hunter. Red Raider fans out there, if Texas Tech can truly make a run for the Big 12 championship, it's going to be guys like Lee Hunter. The transfer from UCF to Texas Tech, the Red Raiders spending all that money in the portal, right? All that money in the portal. They got David Bailey from Stanford. Lee Hunter from UCF. They went and got another defensive lineman, Romello Height from Georgia Tech. They got the offensive lineman from North Carolina. All in the portal, beefing up a team that is ready to try to get to the Big 12 championship game. Lee Hunter is a dude. He can play. He's ready to go. Red Raiders finish off the defensive lineman. All Big 12 first team. Now let's go to the linebackers. BYU Cougars, Isaiah Glasker. Outside linebacker extraordinaire. Doesn't play in the middle. He plays on the outside. Isaiah Glasker, BYU Cougars. Keaton Thomas, one of those Baylor dudes that people keep overlooking. Keaton Thomas, another linebacker. Again, he did not come through the portal. He had a spectacular year at the Red Raiders in Lubbock, Texas. Well over 100 tackles. Mr. Rodriguez, Jacob Rodriguez, Texas Tech Red Raider. And then the guy that I talked about earlier in the chat room, every man a Wildcat, Ima. This man is a Wildcat. Austin Romaine, the great linebacker, Kansas State. Another guy, well over 100 tackles. Kansas State needs this guy to shut it all down at the linebacker position for Kansas State to get into the Big 12 championship game. Now we're going to go into the secondary. Jontez Williams. They got a couple guys in the Cyclone secondary. This is the guy that the Big 12 decide to put in their all-first team. Jontez Williams, Cyclones. DJ McKinney, Colorado. DJ McKinney, Colorado, all Big 12. And of course, the best player, the most known player, the most with the most credentials, Xavier Elford, Arizona State. Incredible year last year. Great season. Arizona State goes to the Big 12 championship game. Big time player. And then you can't leave out Bud Clark, TCU, as he's ready to do the old kung fu on you from TCU. Bud Clark, safety. And that finishes off the secondary of the first team, all Big 12. Now for the special teams. Will Farron, BYU, field goal kicker. The BYU Cougars, they won a lot of crazy games last year. They're going to need Will Farron to do it again this year for the BYU Cougars to win those close games. Another dude that Baylor has, Palmer Williams. There it is, Palmer Williams. Mekhi Muse from Houston. First team all Big 12 kick returner. He started his career, Don Scruggs. Can you tell me where he started his career in college football? Mr. Muse, Georgia. But he's with the Houston Cougars, first team, all Big 12. And then the punt returner, Josh Cameron. Again, Baylor Bears. Two guys in the special teams. Couple guys on the defensive team. They're loaded. Bryson Washington, running back. Sar Robertson, quarterback. They got a great RB2 on that team. The Baylor Bears are loaded. They got a shot. Texas Tech got a shot. The Big 12 race is going to be very interesting once again. So that is your all Big 12 defensive team and special teams according to Athlon Sports. So we have covered the offense, defense, special teams, all ACC. Offense, defense, special teams, all Big 12. Tomorrow we're going to be starting with the Big 10, all offense. Then we'll go to all defense and special teams. And then we'll eventually get to the Southeastern Conference. Always talking football during the off season because we got to talk football. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football at PATC. Now let's go to Joe Klatt. Let's go to Joe Klatt. I consider this a very impressive pitch. Very impressive pitch. Why the 5+11 CFP format fails to meet objectives fans should want. After we go through this article, I'm going to give you my thoughts, and then we're going to go to your phone calls, and I believe the phone system is going to work today. I'm starting to feel, Joe Klatt, I'm starting to feel very pessimistic about what some of the leaders in college football want to do with the sport. My optimism surrounding the future of college football is waning because I'm not sensing from some of these groups that they understand what's going on. They're not considering you, the fans. Last week I shared my thoughts on which direction the CFP should go with expansion. While I prefer the 14-team CFP over the 16-team, it seems evident that it will be expanded to 16 teams. In that scenario, I'd like to see a format with the Big Ten and the SEC getting their 4 out-of-bids, ACC, Big 12, 2 out-of-bids, highest-ranked group of 5 champion, and 3 at-large bids. However, the recent push for the 5+11 model picked up steam at the Big 12 and SEC conference meetings last week. Frankly, it's awful for college football on so many different levels. I have a ton of respect for the Big 12 commissioner, Brett Yormark, and I think he's a smart guy. But I also disagreed with him when he co-signed the 5+11 model while speaking with reporters last week. In talking to athletic directors and coaches, the 5+11 model might not be ideal for the conference, but it's good for college football and it's what's fair, Yormark said. We don't want any gimmies. We want to earn it on the field. That was the direction of the key stakeholder group, the ADs, the coaches, and I feel very comfortable with that. I feel the same way, and I've been very outspoken about it. Brett Yormark, Big 12 commissioner. Joe Klatt responds, that doesn't make any sense. Quite frankly, how can you earn it on the field when the CFP committee determines nearly the entire field? The 5+11 certainly hurts the Big 12, which would in turn hurt the sport because we need more conferences to be relevant. If we opt to go with the 5+11 model, we would get 4 things. 1, the entire sport is going to be determined in the boardroom and be committee driven. 2, we're going to lose valuable non-conference games. 3, you lose out on the possibility of having a conference championship play-in weekend. 4, you'd have a massive amount of politicking and propaganda being pushed. In fact, the final point was already being put into practice by the SEC as its conference meetings in Florida this past week, as it distributed an analytics packet that touted how tough the regular season conference schedule is at its conference meetings. You want more of that? The 5+11 model fails on every single level to drive the sport forward. Here are the 6 objectives I think must be considered when the CFP determines what format and model to use for expansion. Number 1, increase fan base engagement. As I've mentioned with some of the previous models, they're thrown out with the 16-team CFP. You increase fan base engagement by increasing the probability that your team is playing a meaningful games late in the season. In the 5+11 model, We're going to have rankings every week. So we're going to minimize the number of teams that feel like they have a relevant and defined path toward getting in. That would be particularly true if you play in the wrong conference, quote unquote, where your team can only lose once, while it's okay for teams from other conferences to lose 4 games. That is a great point. No, that is a great point. If you're in the ACC and the Big 12, you lose a game, suddenly the path shrinks on you dramatically in the 5+11. In the 4-4-2-2, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. So again, I read this column about 3 times. Every time I read it, it made more sense, especially to the Big 12, especially to the ACC. Number 2, increase meaningful games. If we had a play-in weekend within conferences, each of the power conferences could have multiple games with a CFP spot on the line on the same weekend. If we went with the 5+11 model, we'd miss out on the idea of a 3rd place and a 6th place team, or a 4th place, 5th place teams in the Big Ten and the SEC battling for one of the conference's automatic qualifying spots because of the 11 at-large bids. More meaningful games. Increase valuable non-conference games. If this sport is solely determined in a boardroom and the committee decides who gets into the CFP, we're going to have what's happened already. It's already happening, ladies and gentlemen. The athletic directors and teams getting rid of valuable non-conference games. Tennessee and Nebraska just called it off. USC about to call it off. When there's a committee involved, the idea is to have as many wins as possible. The best way to get as many wins as possible is to have as easy of a schedule as possible. The committee has never really shown a willingness to honor teams for challenging themselves in non-conference play. The 5+11 model would fail to protect teams from challenging themselves in the non-conference slate. Number 4, minimize or eliminate the committee. This is a strong, very strong part of this article. Nobody wants all this committee-driven drama late in the year, with teams politicking and sending out analytics package to prove their case. When nearly 3/4 of the field is made up of at-large bids, you're only going to have more of that. Having as many automatic qualifiers as possible would tone down the committee's influence beyond the seeding. So if you're looking at a 5+11, you're going to have all this is all that we're going to hear. The politicking, the propaganda. Kenneth Stromness in a 4-4-2-2 non-conference means absolutely nothing. Not true. If you have 3 at-large bids, the non-conference games is the second bite of the apple. And BYU, if you lose an early season game, you're not out. If you lose a non-conference game, a big game, you're not out because you got your conference race. You got those auto bids. You got 2 bite of the apples. You got more meaningful games, not less. In my opinion, Joe Klatt has made a lot of sense here. Number 5, define a clear path. In the other 16 team models, there's a clear path for teams to reach the CFP. They know that they need to either win their conference championship game, finish within a certain spot in the standings, or win one of the conference championship week play-in games. There is a clear path. With the 5+11 model, the only clear path to making the CFP is to be one of the 5 highest-ranked conference champions. If you're not one of those 5s, you're hoping that the committee likes your resume. And number 6, keep more conferences relevant. This is vital for the health of the sport. It's important that the ACC and the Big 12 remain relevant. Yet, if you go with the 5+11 model, the Big 10 and the SEC will get more participants in the CFP. And that is what the data shows, by the way. That means those conferences will continue to generate more revenue and power, further creating a fork in the road between those conferences and the rest. Simply put, the 5+11 model fails every objective, and it falls short of the other models. Far be it from me to disagree with smart people, but I don't see how the 5+11 model is good for college football and fair. If I were your Mark or the ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, I'd take a 14-team format that guaranteed my conference 2 spots right now. If the Big 10 and the SEC really press those 2 conferences to accept a 16-team format, the ACC and the Big 12 should ask for 5 guaranteed spots between the 2 conferences. And we'll circle back to that here. Finally, at the end of the article, ultimately, I want the sport to be better for you, the fans. If the CFP expansion meets those objectives, it would do that. I'm concerned, though, about the recent push for the 5+11 model, which certainly won't. Joe Klatt, fantastic article, made a lot of good points. Again, there is a certain problem that I have, even with his argument, and that is I do not believe this should be permanent. The 4-4-2-2-1-3. There should be a look-in, multiple look-ins. Also, we talked about it here on PATC. The 4-4, 2.5, 2.5, 1-3. Wow, that could possibly work. Where you have that play-in game between the Big 12 and the ACC. But even if you don't have it, I can understand why your Mark and Phillips would not want to do that. I get it. But again, there is a lot of good stuff in that article. Really a lot. More meaningful games. More teams that have hope going to midway through October into November. The 5+11, all we're going to hear is a lot of politicking, a lot of propaganda, a lot of metrics, and some of that is fun. It is. But let's have that fun with 3 at-large bids. Let's have those arguments, those analytics, after the play-in games are over, where you have 13 teams are in the playoffs. And by the way, you can have, if the G6 conferences want to get together and have their top 2 teams playing a play-in game, whatever, but top-ranked G6 gets a spot, 4-4-2-2-1, 13 are in. And then the at-large bid, all the arguments over 3, let's have them. Let's have the committee select them. They can politic them and propaganda. But 11 at-large bids at the power of the committee. I have been in favor of the 5+11 over the auto bids, because the auto bids to me is just, it hits me wrong, because it just does. I don't know how you, but I am now convinced that through all the possibilities, a 4-4-2-2-1-3 that is not permanent is the best option. The problem is nobody is arguing for the look-ins. The 5+11 then, for me, it becomes very scary, especially for the Big 12 and the ACC. I know you want to earn it on the field, but I will say this. Even the Big 12 and ACC people out there in the chat room, even if you're arguing for the 5+11, you can't argue, though. I mean, you can make the argument that's going to be better for your conference. You're not going to look like a second-class conference. You think you're going to improve and get more teams in. Okay, all that is logical. But the argument that the biggest argument for the 4-4-2-2-1-3 is, even for the ACC and the Big 12, is you're going to have more teams involved with more meaningful games in the regular season. You are. If the Big 12 set up a 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 play-in situation, there's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9 Big 12 teams fighting, having hope to get that number 4 spot to get into that play-in game. Your early season losses are not going to eliminate you. You're going to have more teams dreaming of getting into the college football playoffs in a larger swath of your games, which is going to tilt the viewership numbers higher, more interest, ticket sales, sponsorship. The play-in games are going to be extra money. Joe Klatt makes a very good argument. And Josh Pate makes really good argument. Josh Pate was taught, he was, I'm not going to go through that right now on this live show. I want to get to your phone calls. But Josh Pate was saying stuff like, he was giving examples like a Tennessee being 9-1 with 2 more games left to go in the regular season at a 5+11. They'd probably be a shoo-in. Those games aren't going to matter. But what if Tennessee loses one of those last 2 games, loses their play-in game? You still got to play. You still got to perform. You're still going to have major interest in those Tennessee Volunteer games. That was just an example. He just used Tennessee. There is more going on at a 4-4-2-2-1-3 format than the 5+11. 5+11 is just more data, propaganda, politicking. 4-4-2-2-1-3 is more, okay, this is our path. This is our path. This is this team's path. Right? If West Virginia can just win this game and have that team lose that game, we can sneak into the play-in game. Boston College, they just need an upset in this game. We just need to win this game, and then the next week is going to be meaningful. Everyone's going to be able to see their path. Joe Klatt makes a very good argument in so many different ways. So anyways, I'm going to open up to the phone lines. Again, thank you all for joining us here. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe, smash the like button, and open up those notifications when you subscribe, because we can come on anytime to cover breaking news in college football AMAC is in second place. Stormy Cyclone is in first place. CFB Plus is in third place. That is your community leaderboard. Your community leaderboard here at Peak around the corner. Right now. Okay, let's get to it. Phone lines should work. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. I'm hoping, I'm praying that people can hear the callers. Because yesterday everything went pear-shaped. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. Let me see here. The crown criteria is a mystery. Greg, you got any Gophers propaganda? No, I don't got any. And if I did have any, I don't want to use it up in the first week of June. Don't want to use it up in the first week of June. This is all rigged, Greg. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. The best model would be 333313. Okay, let's hope and pray this works, ladies and gentlemen.
From
Stormy Cyclone.
Stormy Cyclone, who's against the 442213. From Ames, Iowa. Give it a rip, sir. Hopefully people can hear. Can people hear Stormy Cyclone? Go ahead and talk.
I haven't said anything yet.
Yep.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes. AMAC says yes.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I can see the Big 12's point, but gosh, you've seen the polls, like there's 11 SEC teams out there before the season even starts, before you see one Big 12 team.
Yeah.
The propaganda is just never going to end. You know that.
Yeah.
It's just not going to end. You can just see the politicking going on already. I mean, I'm not in favor of the 4-4-2-2, but I don't know. The SEC won't give it, you know what I mean? Not playing their total conference, 9 games or whatever. Even if they schedule either Power 4 teams, it's not the same as playing conference teams that know your ins and outs and how you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think the Big 12. I don't know. The SEC. I won't go along with it, but I still think that 4-4, 2.5, and la-da-da-da-da is the way to go, but I just don't know if they'll bite with that. That is my opinion on this.
I mean, yeah.
And that way the Big 12 and ACC could have a play-in game. They could also have a conference championship game. It all makes sense, but I just don't see the SEC and Big 10 going along with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen politically among those conferences. But as a fan, I'm trying to look at this as a fan. I mean, again, like Jeff Morgan, Mr. Mountaineer, says pros and cons on both sides, and I would agree with that. As a fan, if West Virginia is 5-2. If Iowa State is 5-2, week 7, and we do have this 4-4-2-2-1-3, you're mathematically not going to be eliminated, right? To get to the playoffs. If you're 5-2 in the conference, I'm saying, if you're 5-2 in the conference with 2 weeks to go, you are in the hunt. You're going to have a pathway. I mean, mathematically, you have a chance to get into the top 4 in the Big 12. if you're 5-2 in the conference, even if you're 3-0 non-conference, your pathway to the college football playoffs, it might exist. It might. But even if it possibly does, you still aren't really clear on the path. You still really don't know. Go ahead.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can just see how this is going to play out. I really can't. I mean, you can't leave yourself open. You don't want to diminish your less bids, because how do you tell recruits, well, you're only going to get half the bids, you know what I mean? And
yes.
Things like that. You know what I mean? It's degrading. It really is.
Yeah.
But you got to look at it realistically too, that you got to give yourself, but I don't know if your mark would go along with this, or, the ACC commissioner, but I just think having that chance at that extra spot might sway the pendulum, to do that. You know what I mean? But then again, will the Big Ten go along with the 4-4-2-2? Well, they would, I guess, 4 spots if the SEC only stayed at games. You know what I mean? That way, everybody has got to compromise on this. Right now, I guess it's a long way from being settled. We got till December 1st. I guess I don't know what happens. Does it revert back to the 12 team deal if it doesn't? But right, a lot of politicking going on, a lot of things being thrown up against the wall. See what sticks. I guess we're curious to see how it all pans out. But I know the Big 12 can't. They're not in a position to be gambling on teams getting in. At this point, you know what I mean. But by the same token, I can see everybody. It's degrading to see you're only getting half as much as the other ones, but it's kind of reality. You know what I mean? It's a power deal,
Yep.
But if you can get that extra half spot, I'd be all for that. You know what I mean? So that's all I got on that matter. I just haven't called in for a while. I thought I'd give my 2 cents.
I appreciate the call, Stormy Cyclone. Yep. I think you're reflecting on what a lot of people out, this is good, not so good, back and forth.
At this point, I don't like either model, to be honest with you. I mean, I like something in between. You know what I mean? We just got to get more teams in there, and it just ain't going to we ain't going to get the large bids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we need guaranteed bids, but then you put a cap on that too. It's like, this ain't good either. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. All right,
I'll let you go, and I thank you for your time, Greg.
Appreciate it. Beautiful call. Stormy Cyclone. Beautiful call by Mr. Cyclone. Mayor McCheese, why is the Big Ten so concerned that they won't measure up? I think there is a concern that the Big Ten won't measure up in a 5+11 if the SEC stays at 8 conference games. They know they are, again.
Call from.
I don't know. We've been getting that call lately from 801, the static there. I'm going to have to figure out, I'm going to have to block that number. Again, I think there is a concern. If the SEC stays at 8 conference games and we're going from 7 at large to 11 at large bids, because mathematically it's going to favor the SEC. Now, in a world in which the SEC goes to 9 conference games, or in a world of 4-4-2, I don't think the Big Ten is all that concerned after that. Now, Cranky Tiger, Clemson Tiger, gifted membership. Thank you so much, Cranky Tiger, for your generosity. I appreciate it so much. And guess what? His gift membership went to the Seminole himself, VC Noel, Garnett and Old. Hold on one second.
Call from.
Larry Andrew.
Larry Andrew, can you hold on for a second, please?
Sure can.
Appreciate it. And can you turn down the volume? I'm getting an echo.
I already did.
All right, thank you, sir. Cranky Tiger, gifted membership. to VC Knoll, a Tiger to a Seminole. VC Knoll, when you get a chance, please say thank you to Cranky Tiger for his generosity. Cranky Tiger, VC Knoll, both of you are knighted, cloak, and dagger. Thank you so much, Mr. Tiger. I appreciate your generosity. I appreciate you coming on in and joining us, talking college football. Cranky Tiger has not held it against me that I got Clemson winning the ACC championship, that I got Clemson going all the way to the national title game. Right now in my predictions, it could change in August. I don't think it's going to change for Clemson. You are absolutely loaded. Cranky Tiger believes in Greg the Gold. Larry Andrew, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it.
No problem, Greg. I really appreciate finally getting in. I've been trying a couple times.
Yeah, it's tough.
But I will say one thing. I don't think any of these playoff scenarios is worth talking about, to be honest with you.
You got it. What's the Larry Andrew motto?
I don't care what it is. This is my problem.
Okay.
I don't think you can set it up to be fair. If you take college football, it's always been about college football. It don't matter who you play, where you play, when you play. It's about how you end up at the end of the season and what the main goal is to win a national championship. It's not, and to win your conference and all that. But the thing of it is, the way it's set up in the 5-11, the SEC just is going to slaughter the playoffs. It's going to really kill the Big Ten. It's worse than it will anybody else. And then if you go with a 4-4-2-2, then you're saying, hey, we got two conferences that are worth something and two conferences that maybe have something once in a great while, and it's not going to matter. I just don't think that anybody has come up with a reasonable way. A 2-2-2-2 with the rest, or a 3-3-3-3. I think that's getting out of the line a little bit because the SEC and the Big Ten would never go for a 3-3-3-3. But, I mean, it's got to get even somehow. And a few months ago when I called in, I just said, this whole football thing's got to be settled by Congress or somebody that's got power over college football to say, hey, stop. Let's make this sport a sport again. You can't take 4 teams from one conference and 4 teams from another conference and put 2 from a third and a fourth conference, no matter what conference it is, and think it's a fair playing field. It just can't be. And I really honestly believe that somebody, someplace, is going to have to come up with some kind of an idea to bring college football back to college football. I believe the players ought to get paid. I don't think that's an issue at all. And I think the schools need to pay them. And I think that every school ought to have the same salary cap. And I think your NIL deals has got to be capped at something that's really legitimately an NIL deal rather than a pay-for-play. And I don't know. I may be totally wrong.
Hello.
Committee, yes, would absolutely do something, but I don't know whether it's going to or not. And one more point I'll make before I jump off here. I do think that the reason that the Big 12 quit going in for their big, that, what is it? Oh, shoot.
The Auto Big model?
No, I'm talking about where they're having the money come into the league and they put it off. Yeah, equity. I think the reason they put it off is I do think that both the conferences were looking at about going together to form one, not one league, but each individual league, but the whole conference is together going in to get a private equity deal that would actually cover both of them.
Could be. Yes, it could be. Yep.
And I'll jump off here and let you hear what you had to say. How bad you're going to tear me up for what I said.
I never tear you up, Larry. Never will.
I know, but it's getting aggravating, you know?
It is.
You listen to this every day, arguing about who's going to be, which is best, and either one of them isn't good for college football.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So I'll get off here, and I thank you, Greg, for your call, and I never miss your show, but sometimes I don't get on when you come on because it's usually dinner time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd rather eat. I'm like you. I like to eat.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.
Beautiful.
Bye-bye.
Jacober Cat, super chat. An injured beetle will eat its own innards, oozing from its abdomen, consuming itself to death. Will the Big 12 wake up and stop picking at its abdomen? The abdomen is, I don't know if it's being chewed out. Hold on.
Call from
CFP Plus.
I did not hear the name.
CFP Plus.
Oh, CFP Plus. Can you hold on for a moment, please?
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jacober Cat, for the super chat. Thank you for the very creative writing that you always do. Great job. I completely understand why Yormark has said what he has said in public. But I hope he's in private. I hope his message is a little different to the other commissioners. Because a 5+11 with the SEC remain at 8 conference games, I think Yormark is hurting his conference. But I understand why he said what he said in public. Number one. Larry Andrick, so the first time I read Joe Klatt's column, because I read it 3 times. The first time I read it, I was like, yeah, but. The second time I read it, I came to the conclusion that Joe Klatt really is not promoting the out-of-bid model because he thinks it's perfect or good, or he's promoting that model over the 5+11 because he went through his 6, like what the fans would want, the interest they would have during the season. He went through 6 particular benchmarks, so to speak, and the model works out a whole lot better. And then, so that when it finally hit me, then I read it the 3rd time, and I'm like, this is a very impressive pitch, and we're going to be talking about it on our live show today. I just look at, okay, let's, and CFB Plus, thank you for your patience. I'm going to get to you in a minute. Thank you, sir. If you look at just the example of the Mountaineers, we're going in, let's pretend that we are in the model, the 4-4-2-2-1-3 model, 16-team playoffs. You're going to be playing a non-conference game against the Pittsburgh Panthers. And I think it's September 13th. And I'm guessing it's your 3rd non-conference game. Let's just pretend it is your 3rd non-conference game. We're in the model. We're doing the model. Let's say the West Virginia Mountaineers lose to the Pittsburgh Panthers. Well, not only have you lost to your rival, but you've only got maybe one more bullet left in the gun. to try to get to the college football playoffs. Your pathway to the CFP is about one more loss away. But if we're doing the 5+11, but because of the model, you had one bite of the apple when it comes to elevating the Mountaineers to a potential at-large bid at the end of the season if you lose that play-in game. But you lost to Pittsburgh, so that at-large bid, if you lose a play-in game, might be slipping away. But you still have your conference race. You still have the chance to get into the play-in game. Your games are more meaningful during the season. So Joe Klatt's argument really makes a lot of sense to me. The more and more I think about it, I just wish that there would be look-ins that change those numbers. CFB Plus, thank you for your patience. I appreciate it so very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I think what I've taken away from not just Joel Klatt's article, but just kind of from the broader conversation at play here is the real issue, and I think most people can agree upon this, is the bias within the media and the uncertain aspects and criteria when it comes to ranking these teams. And I think it is kind of behoove us, as a sport to address that more so than the playoff model, because it doesn't matter what playoff model is ultimately decided upon. We're only addressing the symptoms of like an illness. And so it doesn't matter. As long as that underlying bias is there, it is going to permeate and continue to cause disruption and corruption within the sport. And so I think it is more so imperative to, and this is probably more, idealistic and not super realistic, but I think it is more important to call out that bias in the media and to address that more so than it is the playoff model, because either way, it's going to affect the playoffs, and it's going to affect everything else in the sport. And so my view has shifted, and I'm starting to see the playoff more as a secondary symptom, where the root problem here that needs to be addressed and needs to be corrected is the bias in the media and the unclear pathways and criteria that the committee goes about ranking teams. Because I agree with Joel Klatt that the committee basically determines the sport where it can. But I don't think we should just, reside ourselves to that. I think we should try and, as much as we can, try and fix that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I guess, that's easy for me to say, and I don't really have any solutions to that. But I think it's, important for us as fans to start to call that out. I mean, like the ESPN's FPI rankings the other day, just total bias, just absolute, just insane bias and propaganda. And I mean, a lot of us called it out, saying that this is ridiculous. But the fact that ESPN feels comfortable enough to put that out there, is kind of shocking. That they had 11 SEC teams in the top 25, which is just asinine, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's not a ranking. It is a ranking, but it's a supposed talent. I don't know. It's ridiculous. And what made that FPI so egregious is that Sankey used that in part of the metrics that he showed the media. Like, these are the metrics that that the selection committee should be looking at. FPI was one of them.
Okay.
And then the next day or the next 2 days, we saw that FPI ranking. And it's like, come on. It's embarrassing. That was truly embarrassing. So, yeah, I don't know. It's, again, Joe Klatt didn't really, he's not saying his format is perfect. He's just trying to get it to the point where, as a fan, you're going to be more, you're going to see more your clear path for your team, more meaningful games. A lot of it made sense to me. Anything else, sir?
No, that's kind of about it. I mean, it does make sense, and he does make some good points. I just think it is ultimately treating the symptoms and not addressing the underlying cause. And if we go that route, we're in 5 years we're still going to be having the same discussion, or the same problem is going to be the core, but just slightly different. Nothing's really going to change until we can address the media bias. And personally, I think we should go back to the BTS style in terms of ranking, where we have tons and tons and tons of polls that are compiled into a formula. Maybe we adjust the formula to be more arbitrary and less subjective, but we plug that into a 5+11 model. I think that's probably my preferred option, and we get rid of the CFP committee totally.
Okay.
I know it's probably not going to happen, but that's kind of how I would do it.
Who knows? Who knows?
I know. We need to address the bias.
Yeah. We'll see if one of these commissioners in public starts talking about computer rankings. We went down that road before. I don't know. We'll see. I appreciate the call,
maybe,
sir. You got it.
Maybe
buddy.
Here's something crazy. Maybe let's have AI do it. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, thanks for the call.
You got it. Appreciate it, my man. Hold on here. Tim Bales. Greg, one person really, I think you would not be where you are without the little general.
Call from
Katron.
Can you hold on for just 1 second? What was your name again?
Yes, sir. Katron.
Patron? Okay. Appreciate the call. Tim Bales. Greg, one person really, I think you would not be where you are without the little general. Thank you, General, for allowing Greg to spend so much time bringing us the peek around the corner. Thank you, Tim Bales. I appreciate those very kind words. Thank you, little general. If you're watching this live show, thank you so much for all your support. She does support me in so many different ways. There are so many different hurdles that I have to go through to get this live show going on every day. Which is one of the reasons why I can never give you guys the exact time that we're coming on, like every other college football YouTube channel out there. I'm not able to do it because of the crazy life, the caretaking that we do in this house. So thank you, little general. Thank you, Tim, for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Patron, go ahead, sir. I appreciate. One more thing. I'm sorry, Patron. Hold on one more second.
Problem.
One more second. Ryan Thomas. The opposition to the 4-4-2-2 is ESPN, period. Interesting comment. Very interesting comment. We're going to have to dive more into that. But right now, we're going to listen to Patron. Thank you for calling, sir. The floor is yours.
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller, Greg.
I appreciate the call. I love it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, awesome. And thanks to you, and thanks to the little general. I enjoy the show. So anyways, with all this like playoff talk, there's kind of like something that's sort of been circulating in my mind, right? Like, obviously playoff restructuring, playoff format, we think about playoff representation as being sort of the key issue here, right? Like for the Big 12, ACC, their playoff representation is like literally an existential issue for them, right? They want equal representation. And naturally, the SEC, logically, they want to sort of maximize their playoff representation, right?
True.
5+11.
Yes, sir.
But, one thing I was thinking is like, the Big Ten, who's the one pounding the table for the 4AQ, this does not actually necessarily benefit them in the playoffs, right? Because they could potentially get more teams. And I think one of the sort of counterintuitive things that we kind of miss because we're so focused on the playoff conversation is like you reported earlier. I think you were the first one to report this. I think in September, right, about all this 4AQ stuff. Why is the Big Ten really pushing the 4AQ? It's because the stakeholder in the Big Ten who wants the 4AQ system the most are the media partners, right?
Yep.
I think even you had sort of reported this, that the media partners wanted this the most. For what reason? Not to guarantee any type of playoff representation, but counterintuitively, it's to maximize the value and sort of manufacture interest in those regular season games,
True.
right? And even if you look at Joel Klatt's article or whatever that you reviewed today, what was his number one bullet point? He wrote it out as increased fan engagement, aka manufacture the viewership. And all of the conferences do this to a certain extent, right? I mean, in the day and age where you need that media money, like the Big 12, for example, you said Brett Yormark wants to put games on like non-traditional dates, right?
Yep.
To get more interest. ACC, they want the big brands playing each other more, like create more interest, right? Even, the SEC to a certain extent has made like small tweaks on SEC and ABC by moving their top game from like the afternoon slot where they had it with CBS to the primetime slot, right? With ESPN, ABC, right?
Yep.
But so like, why is the Big Ten having to propose such a radical transformation to increase the value of their regular season games? I think honestly, Greg, I know one thing that you've talked about even earlier in this show is that, well, the Big Ten and their media partners are highly satisfied with the viewership. And even though the viewership is less than that of the SEC, they can kind of compensate for it because of the value of those media markets. The advertisers, they love those NFL media markets, right? But I don't think that's necessarily the case, Greg. I'm getting the sense that these media partners for the Big Ten don't feel that whatever they're earning from these Big Ten regular season games, it's not a sufficient ROI. It's not a sufficient return on investment. And that's why they have to do the 4 automatic qualifier to create more interest in their regular season games. I would kind of point to, as an example, look at Notre Dame. You would think that Notre Dame, I mean, Golden Domers, like Lou Holtz, Rudy, all that, they shouldn't have any issue with viewership, but they do. And that's why NBC is telling them, hey, you got to play the bigger brand. They're trying to manufacture more interest in Notre Dame, which may seem kind of strange to us as college football fans, but I actually think the viewership is probably not as strong as they anticipated. And so that's kind of my take on it, is that, if it were really about the value of these media markets, Greg, NBC, who has the contract with the NFL, Sunday Night Football, with the Big Ten, with Notre Dame, they have all those national advertisers and all that. NBC would be telling Notre Dame, hey, go play Boston College in Boston, Gillette Stadium. Go play Pitt in Heinz Field, in Pittsburgh. Go play SMU in Jerry World in Dallas, right? Go play Georgia Tech in Atlanta. All these are NFL markets, but they're not actually saying that, right? They want Notre Dame to go play Florida State and Clemson. And you've even described, Notre Dame doesn't like traveling to Florida State because they don't even have a airport close by, right? Clemson is not a huge major media market. So if a brand like Notre Dame has to work this hard to, compensate for the lack of viewership, my sense is that the Big Ten and their media partners also have to work pretty hard to compensate for the lack of viewership, and that it's not ESPN that's necessarily interested in getting those Big Ten games and advertising in those Big Ten markets. It's actually the Big Ten that needs the partnership more, because the SEC team and the SEC audiences sort of kind of like help enhance the viewership. Like, because we can actually look at some of the viewership numbers. Like, I'm just going to put this into perspective, you know, like, and I don't know how accurate these numbers are. Like, you can Google it, but like Colorado Baylor last year had higher viewership than Michigan Minnesota, you know, which was, I think, on like Fox or CBS or one of the, you know, Big Ten games. That's pretty surprising when you consider like Michigan were the defending national champions, and, you know, Minnesota is the official team of the PATC family, right? But I really think like the viewership for the Big Ten and the need to amplify and enhance that regular season is the primary reason you see like Joel Klatt and Ryan Day, and why the Big Ten is actually pounding the table for this. I don't buy any of this like, oh, we're doing it for altruistic reasons to benefit all of college football. I think that's all a bunch of baloney. But anyways, that's all I have to say.
Great call, Patron. My first question is, why haven't you called before? And my plea is for you please to call again.
Oh, well, yeah, to be honest, the issue is sort of the same with Larry, who just previously called. Like, you know, my head is not on a swivel, so sometimes like I miss the show, sometimes I don't. Yeah. And also, you're a tough guy to get in touch with, man. You're a very popular guy.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I'm going to take...
Getting into your show is tougher than Feinbaum.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I'm going to answer your call off the air. I'm going to have you hang up, and I'm going to make a few comments on it. Okay?
Awesome, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Beautiful call. Beautiful call. Whoops. Where's my clapper? Great call. Great call. I want to take a little time in answering Patron's unbelievable first call, because I think he's speaking for a lot of you. No question about it. And I'm going to get to it. First of all, Ryan Willie, incredible super chat. Thank you so much, kind sir. Unbelievable. Can people that want the 5+11 answer these questions? Who owns the CFP? What conference do they support the most? Who screwed Florida State in 23? Don't blame the Big Ten when the Big 12 and the ACC get screwed. I couldn't stay silent, or I couldn't stay quiet. Ryan Willie, I don't want you to stay quiet. I don't want you going anywhere. You are part of the PATC family, an important part of the family. Thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate your incredible generosity and all your contributions to our show. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Again, you know, there is this distrust among some about ESPN. They own the playoffs, that stupid FPI ranking, whatever. And then there is what Patron talked about, how the Big Ten wants to increase their fan engagement and the numbers and all that. I will say this. I believe the media partner, first of all, the media partners are shelling out a lot of money. Now, every time Fox says something in public, and maybe they're lying, but every time Fox says something in public, they are incredibly happy with Big Ten product. We'll put NBC aside for right now. The Big Ten network, just like every other network out there when it's on cable, they've lost subscribers, but their viewership is way higher now than it was 10 years ago. Their ad rates are way higher than they've ever been, and that's why every Big Ten school can make as much money now, even though the number of subscribers has gone down. Well, it's gone back up because of expansion, but I think you all understand what I'm saying. To the point where the Big Ten Network, the Big Ten Conference decided that the Big Ten Network should be rated by Nielsen's ratings. The SEC network doesn't do that. The ACC network doesn't do it. The Big Ten Network is actually doing what Jim Delaney thought it was going to do. It was going to squeeze more juice, more value out of the non-revenue sports by creating its own network and putting the live content on there. And so what I'm saying is the Big Ten Network right now is a smashing success. Based viewership on hockey, on their volleyball, their women's volleyball, all that money is being put into all. Okay. So this tier 1 numbers that supposedly are down for the Big Ten. Patron's right in the fact that the Big Ten is trying to secure more value out of its regular season. More viewership, more meaningful games. Notre Dame, the great Notre Dame, is protecting itself. To have big brand games in their football schedule, they are protecting themselves. First of all, they got to have a certain top level, tier 1, in accordance to NBC, top tier 1 home schedule to be able to maximize whatever contract they have with NBC. They are on a sliding scale, and they want to make sure that at the top of the scale. That's why the Clemson deal with Notre Dame is so favorable for Notre Dame. As a standalone product, you are vulnerable. The media partner is vulnerable. If you're having a down year for Notre Dame, your ratings are going to sink. So you're protecting yourself. NBC loves the fact that Notre Dame's been able to get top brands, because even if Notre Dame is having a down year, the numbers shouldn't sink too low. That's what the Big Ten's trying to do. Because there are some years in which the Big Ten, if you draw it all out, is the numbers are going to be like the way the season plays out. It's great for the viewership numbers. But some ways, if you draw it out, if the big brands don't have a very good year, the numbers just drop. And they want to try to make sure the floor doesn't go too far down in any single year. So they're trying to build their own protection in their season. And if a Michigan and a Buckeye, Wolverines and Buckeyes both fall off the cliff, that there's going to be some ratings, decent enough. So that's what they're trying to do. I happen not to believe that the Big Ten media partners are unhappy with the Big Ten. NBC, yes, they did not have a good slate of games. The Big Ten's already made adjustments on that. They've already said they have, and we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. I don't have the same sense that most people in the chat room have. I think the Big Ten media partners are quite happy with the numbers. But again, they want to make their regular season more valuable. To the media partners want this. They want the conference races. They want more viewership. No question about it. They're trying to protect themselves. So, but a great call by Patron. I think a lot of people agree with them. I agree with them on a lot of what he said. Some of it, I don't think there is this overall, oh my God, look at this media package we gave Big Ten. And this argument has been made before about the Big Ten. It was made 6 and 7 years. Oh, the Big Ten. Oh. And then look at their last media negotiations. The Big Ten got a huge increase. And the reason why they do is because of the markets that they're in. It's just the way it is. because this argument has been talked about the Big Ten forever. The viewership numbers aren't quite like the SEC. Therefore, blah, 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 blah. But the Big Ten has different national advertisers than the SEC. And it is why I keep coming back to the next wave of disruption. The Big Ten wanted all of Los Angeles, so they included UCLA with the USC. It was the right blend at the time. When Washington and Oregon came along, Oregon brought the brand multiplier, but Washington brought the research dollars, but they also brought the Seattle market. When you're looking at the next expansion for the Big Ten, every back has got to be scratched. The media partners, the presidents, and possibly private equity. But some part of that is going to be a new, unique, big market that's going to be included into the Big Ten. Because truly the only Big Ten expansion over the last so many years that did not include the big market was Nebraska. And that was all about the football brand. But everything else, so the market is, and I know people say, markets don't matter no more, Greg. They don't in this world of streaming and everything. They do. They still matter. They're always going to matter at some point. Anyways, great call. Absolutely fantastic call by Patron. But in the sense, I do agree with Patron. The Big Ten's number one motivation for the 4-4-2-2-1-3 that Joe Klatt sort of talked about is to try to create more meaningful October, November conference games for your media partners. My question is, wouldn't the Auto Biz for the Big 12 and the ACC do the same thing for those conferences? We shall see. Preston from Greensboro, Miami, Atlanta are big markets. Ryan Willie is back. Thank goodness. Thank goodness he's back. Edward the Auburn Tiger is correct that the SEC will be the richest conference. People have not, that new media deal has not been shown up in the numbers. It will next spring. People are going to get a little shook when they see the SEC numbers next year. But I do disagree with the Edward the Auburn Tiger that the media partners are not happy. That I disagree with and I disagree with a lot of you. That just, we're going to have to agree to disagree on that. Again, this has been said about the Big Ten forever. Big Ten's in trouble on the next media but every time they have a media negotiations, they don't have problems with interest. Okay, let's open up the phone lines once again here. I think we got a time for another call. If anybody wants to call and tell me how wrong I got it once again. 763-260-1333. Greg, you'll be accused of having Big Ten glasses on. I'm also accused of being too tough on Tony Petitti. I'm accused of a lot of things all the time. All the time. I do want to thank those who have donated to our show today to help us keep the lights on. I want to thank Shakedown 1971. He became a member, a new member of our channel. Expedition Greg, thank you so much. Stormy Cyclone, Jacobra Cat, Cranky Tiger, who gave out a gifted membership. Ryan Thomas in the Evil Badger, the Good Badger as well. Ryan Willie for his incredible super chat. I want to thank you all. One more thing. And I'm going to have to write this down so I can remember. There it is. There it is. Tony is number 1. Smile is number 2. Stormy Cyclone is number 3. That is your official standings. Official standings. Hold on. That's your official results. Stormy Cyclone comes in 3rd. And again, I don't know how that really works. And now CFB is in 1st as he spams the board. Again, I have to end it at some point. I've got to end it at some point. Great. Do not leave without checking Ross. Ooh. Rod Nix has got his head on a swivel. Rod Nix has got his head on a swivel. What did Ross Dellinger say? More info is being... Oh, no. A House Commerce Subcommittee is holding a legislative hearing on college sports next Thursday. This legislative hearing suggests the introduction of a new House bill. It will be the 13th congressional hearing on college sports since the NCAA lobbying effort began in 2019. So the 13th one. Of note, while there have been 13 hearings and more than a dozen of bills introduced, just one piece of college sports legislation has advanced out of a committee, and it was never brought up for the floor of the House. This new bill is expected to originate from House Commerce Chair Brett Guthrie, a key figure in advancing legislation out of committee and onto the House floor. This bill is expected to feature hallmarks of other Republican bills: NIL state law preemption, NCAA protection, and etc. So, interesting. Next Thursday, a week from today, a legislative hearing on college sports next Thursday. If there is some buzz going on here with this Thursday, if we get more reporting, and this could be a very important day, maybe I'll live stream if they have it on. I don't know if they'll have it on. C-SPAN? I think I can. I don't know if I can live stream C-SPAN. I don't know if I can or not. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to actually go through with this 1, 2, 3 gift at the end because, yeah, yeah, I'm going to have to rethink this. I'm going to have to rethink it. Again, this is a YouTube experiment, and I'm trying to figure out how to use it in our channel. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to figure it out. Link included for possible view. Thank you, Rodnix. I will heavy SEC presence on the committee. Jeopardy music, please. Trust me, spam in the chat doesn't work. Well, you're number one. Okay. I think that's it for today. We've been on the air for over 2 hours. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I thank the people who were so kind and generous in donating to our channel to help us keep the lights on so I can keep showing the little general that it's worth doing to spend all this time in the studio, in this hot studio today. I'm so glad the phone lines worked, and I'm so glad that everybody joined us. Great phone calls. Patreon did a great job. First-time callers. Thank you, everybody. Again, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel. We are College Football's Peek Around the Corner. We pretty much do a live show almost every single day. We cover everything in college football. The drama, the pageantry, the wins, the losses, the crying and the cheering. We cover it all. So please subscribe and smash that like button if you've liked our content today. If you did not like it, hit the thumbs down button and let me know in the comments what you did not like about our show and how I can better present a better program for you, the college football sicko. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.